Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Red Dead Redemption 2 video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about 10 things that'll make you a better player in RDR2. Some tips, tricks, and things you might not have known, and a whole lot more. So anyways, let's dive into this, and let's get it started. The first thing you might not have known today, and this blew my mind because I'm sure it was so obvious, but it's really cool, you can actually customize outfits. So, for example, if you go to any place you can change your wardrobe, you can modify a couple of things on Arthur. Like, for example, do you want his shirt collar and buttons to be open or closed? Well, you can modify that. Do you want his sleeves to be rolled up or all the way rolled down? Do you want your pants over your boots or do you want them tucked in? There's a lot of different variations you can do to change up your outfits to add a more unique style. I like this. I like how Rockstar included that, and this is something that I hadn't really noticed because, you know, it's sort of snuck in there between save outfit, select, and back. So this is something that's really cool. Play around with the different shirts, vests, pants, suspenders that Arthur can put on, and you'll be surprised at some of the things you can modify on his outfit. So that right there is a pretty awesome trick. The next trick, this one blew my mind at how simple it was, but you can actually choose which side of the horse you want to dismount on. So I can't tell you how many times I'm, rolling up to a shop or a store and I get off my horse and, I get off on the wrong side and the trolley runs me over. Or I get in the way of someone's horse and they bump into me. Well, when you're getting off your horse, if you flick left or right on the left thumbstick, you will actually choose what side you get off on your horse. And this is probably one of the most simple things you can do, but it's one of those sort of quality of life things that will, just make your life better every time you do it. So again, if you want to get off on the right side, you flick the left thumbstick to the right. If you want to get off on the left, you flick it to the left right as you are getting off. Again, something super simple, super easy. But now if you're like me, you won't get off your horse in the middle of the road with carts and wagons and trolleys going off. You can safely dismount onto the sidewalk, which again is a great feature. Another cool feature that Rockstar implemented into the game, number 3 today, if you actually go out for a while, like you don't return to camp for 4 or 5 days in game, Dutch will actually send a member of the gang out after you just to check in on you and make sure you're okay. I thought this was a really cool feature that Rockstar included. It's one of those tiny details that you might not think about until it actually happens to you. Now, this has only happened to me once, and when it did, I was like, why is Javier Escuela following me? And he has a little dialogue and a conversation with you, and it'll actually give you a prompt to return back to camp. Which, I mean, I'm sure you guys aren't lost or anything like that, but if for whatever reason you had just forgotten to come back to camp and you want to, it's sort of an easy, quick way in which you will get back. But of course, you have to spend like 4 or 5 days away from camp in order for that to trigger. I just thought that that was really cool, something you probably might not have known about. All right, moving on. As I'm sure you guys know, Saint Denis is the biggest city in Red Dead Redemption 2. But even with this big city, there's not a lot of verticality to this game. And that makes sense given its time setting. 1899. Obviously, we're not in the era of helicopters and, planes aren't super common at this point. They're still, for the most part, prototypes. So it's kind of hard to see the world from above. Well, there's a lot of different locations in Saint Denis where you can actually get on the rooftops, which is really, really cool if you just want a nice place to hang out or chill, or you want to go into cinematic mode and you can actually get a really cool view of the city. Of course, the one time when I go up there, it's foggy and it's smoggy and it's hard to see. But I might not have been on the tallest building in Saint Denis, and this is something that you might actually be able to find. And if you do, you can probably get some great views of the city, which aren't normally accessible because for the most part, this game entirely takes place on the ground, river, or ocean. Just because that's the way it was back in the day. There was no verticality in terms of, buildings that people built. They weren't as tall. And obviously vehicles that couldn't get you up in the air. So this is really awesome. Saint Denis has a lot of rooftop access that you should totally check out. Up next, I've seen a few comments about this. You don't have to find a hotel in order to find bathing and lodging. So for example, in Saint Denis, the saloon offers a bunch of different things that you wouldn't necessarily think a saloon would offer. Like for example, you could play poker here. You can also get food, but you can also get bathing and lodging. So if you want to sleep, if you want to change your wardrobe, if you want to clean up and take a bath, you don't necessarily have to find a hotel. Like I've seen some people going all the way back to Valentine just because they want a hotel and a bath. You know, you don't have to do that. Even though some cities don't necessarily have a hotel, they'll have a place like a saloon or some other spot like Van Horn Trading Post that will allow you to do the things that hotels do. So just keep that in mind, that you don't necessarily have to go to a hotel to get like a bath or a room or a place to stay. Sometimes spots like saloons will do the trick. Another thing I've seen a lot of confusion with is hair or beard growth. So there's multiple growth stages for both head hair and facial hair. So number one, consuming hair tonics will actually double the growth rate for up to 2 stages. And the effect stacks if you consume 2 or 3 hair tonics, leading to a 4-time and an 8-time growth rate, respectively. Number 2, your beard will stop growing on its own at stage 6. The only way to go beyond is to consume tonics. Number 3, pomade applied by a barber lasts 5 days in game, whereas if you do it yourself, it only lasts 2 days. And number 4, you can only grow hair by 1 increment at a time. The next growth stage will begin only after a screen fade. So for example, like sleeping, respawning, or any fast travel. So for a lot of you guys that might be wondering, why is my beard not growing? Why is my hair not growing? Well, you might not have hit a cutscene, or you might not be using tonics. Some of you guys are trying to get your character, Arthur, to look like Moses and trying to get like long beard and long hair. But you have to use tonics after a certain point, and you have to sleep. And it does take a long time, like to get to that level 10 beard and hair. That isn't something you're going to see take effect in just a couple of hours. It's going to take, much, much longer than that. Moving on, another tip or another trick that I thought was actually pretty cool. You can drown people. So we talked about some of the brutal executions you can do with a firearm if you get up close. Well, if for whatever reason you're fighting someone in a relatively deep body of water, you can drown them, which is crazy. So you actually have to like grapple them and then beat them to the ground. And if you do so, it'll say subdue. And if you mash that over and over and over again, you will actually drown them underwater. That is a serious, brutal way to take out an NPC, but I had no idea you could do such a thing. Again, this game just shocks me with all the different ways you can take out people. And drowning people is apparently one way in which you can do that as well. I found this tip to be very helpful. If for whatever reason you get separated from your horse and it is out of your whistling range, if you save the game really quickly, just make a new save slot, and then immediately load the game back up, your horse will be spawned right next to you, which could be a lifesaver. Like if you're stuck on a really tall mountain and your horse can't get to you, just save, load, and then when you spawn back in, your horse will be there right next to you at your spawn location. I can't tell you how many times this has saved me, because I'm always trying to go off the path to get to my destination quicker, and doing that always gets my horse like stuck, or me falling down the mountain. So this tip was incredibly helpful. The next tip that's incredibly helpful is going to be how to use 2 items at once, in particular using the lantern while having other items out. So I'm not sure why this isn't a feature by default. It would make sense if it was, but you can't have the lantern out and another weapon or another item until now. So what you need to do is find a plant, and you need to have your horse right next to you. So what you want to do is call the horse over to your location, and then you want to pick up a plant using square. Now, the second you're in that animation, you want to mount your horse, and at the same time, you want to pull out a 2-handed weapon like a rifle. And if you've done everything correctly, Arthur will mount his horse, he will put the lantern on his hip or his belt, and he will take out the rifle. And as you guys can see, the rifle is out and the lantern is lit at the same time, which is not only useful for traveling in the dark or going in caves, because there are some incredibly dark places, but now you can have a weapon out at the same time. So again, I can't tell you how useful this is for traveling at night, just doing things in general. Why this isn't a feature from day one, I don't know. It would be so useful. I mean, it's clear Arthur can do it, so I don't know why we have to glitch in order to get that done. And our final tip of the day, if you happen to find a Scarecrow out in the world, which there's plenty of them at various farms. This is the location I'm at now. It's just south of Heartland Overflow. If you find a Scarecrow, they probably have a hat on there. And if you shoot off the hat, you can actually take it for yourself. And some of them are pretty cool. Like the one I found was like this worn brown look, which kind of looked awesome. I really liked it for my outfit, actually. So anyways, that right there is 10 useful tips and tricks that will make you a better player in Red Dead Redemption 2. As always, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Do you have any other tips or tricks that you think would be useful? Let us know down there. If you did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily Red Dead Redemption 2 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.